Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Words of Art podcast. I am your host, Dion Sanchez, and joining me in this episode is Gunther Mueller. I don't know if I pronounced her name right.
Mueller.
Yes. Thank you for joining me today, Gunther.
Hey, Dion, it's a pleasure to be here. Very excited to have an amazing conversation with you about the five-step magnetic mind method and how we can all create a life that we love.
Absolutely. So please share with my audience how you came up with that particular method, the magnetic mindset.
Yeah, so, my past, I grew up in New York City and got out of there about 1984 to head west to the ski hills. I grew up pretty middle class, like most people or many people did, and did all the right things, went to school, got good grades. I was pretty much a good boy and all that stuff. And I always had this insight that there's got to be a better way. There's got to be some inside secrets as to how to live this life and how to really get better results in life and how to have it, be less painful and more satisfying. And so I've always been on a pursuit to figure those things out. I've been an entrepreneur for the last 30 years, been in multiple different businesses and created things and sold things and created all kinds of different things. But what I found myself is kind of in this place called oscillating, where there's three places you can be in life. You can be stuck, meaning nothing's happening, nothing's moving, you're just kind of stuck in a particular spot. Then there's oscillating, which is kind of where I was, where it's like you're able to create things, you're able to bring things into your life, but you're not able to hold on to them. So this is people that go through relationship after relationship sometimes, or they can't keep a job, they keep circulating through different jobs. It's like they get the thing that they want, and then they sort of can't keep hold of it, and it slips through their fingers. And then there's this place called flow, which is kind of the state I think we'd all like to be in, where we're just kind of turning our thoughts into things, and we're just kind of manifesting that life that we love and just attracting the things that we would love to experience, the things we'd love to have, the people we'd love to be around. So those are kind of the three places. When I found myself in that oscillating state, I had built a rather large business in about 3 years. And then about 5 years into that, due to a contractual issue, the whole thing was vaporized like overnight. And so I'm talking about a large amount of money, and it just disappeared. And so I found myself in this position again where I had to recreate myself. I had to rebuild something else. And I'm like, what is going on here? I need to figure this out once and for all. So the actual creator of the magnetic mind method is a guy named Chris Duncan. He's out of Australia. And so my search led me to him. I've mentored with him for about 2 years now. And so I'm one of about 200 people in the world that is certified to teach the magnetic mind method. And I think it's a revolution in the personal development space. So anybody that's looked into personal development or, mindset growth or anything like that, I'm sure you've heard of things like positive mental attitude, affirmations, things like the law of attraction or the secret. We come across these things pretty regularly. And the magnetic mind method is truly a revolution in the personal development space, meaning that it's much simpler and more effective to accomplish results once you learn how to tap into this superconscious part of your being and clear away any resistance that's in the way from having what you want. You'll see that you can really manifest stuff. And this is quantum physical science. This is not my opinion. This is 40, 50 years now of research and science that's been done into the nature of the universe, into the nature of how things do get created. So kind of a long intro there, but that's how I got to where I am today.
No problem at all. I do believe when it comes to the power of our minds and our subconscious, it does hold a lot of gifts and potentials that we should tap into, but for some reason we're really resistant to it or we're stuck. Considering the magnetic mindset and what you help others tap into, do you feel that's more in demand considering we're stuck in this unfortunate season of the pandemic going on soon to be 2 years, unfortunately?
Yeah, so what you see in a pandemic situation is you see that the current reality has changed, and it's actually a manifestation of the mass consciousness, okay? And so even when you find yourself in something like, COVID-19 or lockdowns or pandemic, you still have the power of choice. So even though there's chaos and massive change going on around you, when you understand this superconscious aspect of yourself and that you get to create your own reality, you still, even in the midst of what seems to be bad, stressful, difficult times, you can still determine what your experience is going to be like in the midst of the overarching experience, right? So there are some places in the country that were much more affected by the pandemic, and other places were affected quite a bit less. And so there are choices that people made in different places around the world where their actual experience of it was different than other people's experiences of it. So for many, it was a time of reinvention, retooling, reassessing what they were going to do next. It was an opportunity to have some quiet time and to really figure out what to do next, where they were so busy in life that they never had a chance to do that. And so having some time to kind of quote unquote get locked down and be able to spend more time at home, maybe with family, and to do things that they weren't able to do before actually opened them up to new possibilities and new opportunities. So you'll talk to many people that think that COVID was kind of a blessing to them. And it was kind of a good thing that happened, not the fact that people passed away and died and all that, but for them personally in their life, it was actually a, um, a beneficial experience because they actually got some time back. There are other people, on the other hand, that had a different experience in whether it was, job loss or, relational stress and issues, or maybe increased substance abuse and really difficult things that some people have experienced during this time. So I say all that to say the one thing, which is your power lies in your ability to choose. If you think about your life from the time you wake up in the morning to the time you go bed at night, you are choosing. What time am I going to get up? What time am I going to wear? What am I going to wear today? What am I going to eat for breakfast? Well, how am I going to get to work? Am I going to drive? I'm going to take a bus. I'm going to walk, or I'm going to ride a bike, or what I'm going to do. You're choosing one choice after another. And every decision and every choice that we make actually has a consequence in our life. And when we look back on our life, we can kind of see, because hindsight is 2020, we can see how our choices and decisions have kind of led us into the current moment. And that's how we can kind of extrapolate that, look, our choices do matter, they have consequences, and they manifest certain conditions and certain realities. So if that's true, then in the present moment, guess what? We get to choose what's coming. We get to really focus on what we want. And the key problem that I help many people get over is most of the time we're focusing on what we don't want. And so all of our energy and all of our life force goes into focusing on that thing that we don't want instead of focusing on what we do want. And if we would just make that switch and put our energy and our focus on the things that we do want, instead of trying to solve the problem, how to keep away what we don't want, we would get much better at manifesting the life that we love.
Absolutely. And I couldn't agree more as far as many people opted for different reactions toward this particular pandemic season. I, for one, I couldn't hate and despise 2020 as much as everyone else. I really wanted to, but I undergone a drastic change at the start of the pandemic. From my own personal perspective, just to give you a little insight, I got diagnosed with diabetes at the start of the pandemic, 2020. So I couldn't hate or despise it going into it as much as everybody else, because I saw my diagnosis, not necessarily the pandemic, my diagnosis as a blessing, It just so happened to be in the midst of the pandemic. That was just the universe and circumstances, and that's just how God planned it out for me. Because if I hadn't been diagnosed, I could have died. My
Mhm.
body, mind, my subconscious, everything was literally broken. I could have turned into dust. But I am still here, yay. God had other plans for me as far as my life. So I took this particular change as a time of reflection and adapting to this new drastic health change that's basically going to be my whole entire life, and tapping into other interests, figuring out how the far regions of my brain, when it comes to my creativity, how I can expand on that and use the full extent of it. It started with my poetry because I'm a poet. And then, of course, that inevitably led to me starting this podcast, which I launched a year ago as of next week. So,
That's cool. So you bring up a good point in that you get to choose, right? Even in the midst of a diagnosis or even in the midst of a pandemic situation, you chose to become, let's say, contemplative, or you chose to be reflective, and you took it as a time and an opportunity to just notice what was and then make new decisions about what it is you wanted to do. And that's really a key point, because in our culture and in the upbringing or the socialization that we've been exposed to in most of our lives, we have never been taught to choose from a place of what we would love to experience. And we've been taught to solve problems. And so I call that the problem solving reality, okay? Where even our goal setting methods are like pick a goal and then put the 5 things underneath it, how to get that goal, put a date next to everything, sign it, and be committed to that goal. Well, what happens is when we don't hit that goal, we kind of get depressed because the date goes by and we didn't accomplish our goal. So a lot of times that inner voice inside our head says, oh, you're a loser, you're a failure, you're not good enough, you didn't make it, you're not capable. This goal setting thing, it just doesn't work. And it's very different when you step out of the problem solving reality and trying to do this goal setting stuff. And you actually take the creative stance, you take the creator stance, and you choose from a place of what you would love to experience. And instead of putting a specific date or a timeline on it, you choose to create that reality as soon as possible. And you kind of give the universe a little bit of time to actually manifest the circumstances, the conditions, the people, the opportunities that need to kind of come in alignment with, let's call it, your true choice. Like you choose something that you would really love to experience, that you'd really love to have. And I want your listeners to understand that a true choice is sometimes difficult to pick, difficult to choose, because sometimes our choices are stepping stones onto something else. And when we look at something that we want because it's going to get us something else, that thing then is not the true choice. It's the thing that it gets us. And so sometimes maybe there's 3 steps in our choices, and we have to really be clear on what is the true end result. What is the last thing that we really, really, really want? And spend a little bit of time contemplating that, because otherwise we wind up with choices that's not really what we want because we think that choice is going to get us something else. And that's not a great way to manifest things into our life.
right. And I couldn't agree more as far as it all really does come down to a choice. I could have chosen to react negatively and like, no, this is the worst news ever. Many of my family was not at all pleased with this news. Considering I undergone many health issues growing up as a kid, so their reaction was warranted and normal, considering, hey, her life is finally together. Why does this have to happen to her? But I did not see it as a negative time to focus on, oh, this sucks. No, I'm still breathing. I'm still living. Let me be grateful for the fact that I'm still here and put my focus and energy on what truly matters and stay positive. So,
Mhm.
as far as the stepping stones and getting there, I mean, as a human race, we're stubborn. we want to get to the end post right away. We aren't, we don't focus on the journey or the process as well as we should.
Yeah, we kind of live in a microwave society where we want instantaneous results. And we don't enjoy the journey a lot of times. But the truth is that we are happiest when we do enjoy the journey, because the end result, a lot of times we get there. And how many times have you really had something that you really, really, really wanted? And then when you get it, the joy of it is very short lived, right? It's like it lasts for a day or two, or maybe even a week, and then you're on to the next thing. So that just proves to us that it's not the thing, it's not the end result. Where we get the most fulfillment and the most meaning in life is when we experience progress. It's the experience of moving forward. It's the experience of moving towards a worthwhile goal or end result. And when you can enjoy that moment to moment to moment, that's where your happiness and your contentment actually rises to a new level. So that's no matter what situation you find yourself in, the future is not going to be better. Okay, let's get that clear. It's not going to be better. It's just going to be different. And if we can change that little word and saying, look, I have the power of choice and I've created everything up until this point in my life. And from this present moment, I get to choose a different experience. It's not necessarily going to be a better experience. It's just going to be something different because I've experienced the current reality enough. I've had enough of that. That's been enough. So I'm going to choose something different. If we can hold that in our mind and choose that way, we detach ourselves a little bit from the current reality and we allow our identity to move and to shift, and we don't get so cemented and stuck in what is now.
Absolutely. And I'm so much enjoying this conversation. But I do want to get to our icebreaker question, which I think you're going to enjoy, and the icebreaker game. But I'm going to start with the icebreaker question first, just to liven up the mood. If you had to come up with a chapter, since we're talking about choices and realities and life, if you had to come up with a chapter and or title for where your life is at in this current moment, this decision right now at the center in the present, what would that title or chapter be? For
In
where
my
your
life,
life is at right now, yes.
yeah, where it's at right life, it's the chapter would be called Enjoying Being the Predominant Creative Force in My Life.
Interesting. Do you mind elaborating a bit as to why
Yeah,
you go that way?
absolutely, sure. Because, it started off with being a choice. So choosing to become the predominant creative force in your life. And you notice I didn't say the only creative force in my life, because there's other people creating their reality as well, right?
Right.
So just imagine there's trillions and trillions of transactions going on in the universe, and you are but one individual in that mix, right? And so choosing to be the predominant creative force in your life just means major or most important, but not the only, because there are things that are happening, outside of our direct control sometimes. And the choice eventually becomes an I am, because when you choose something and you bring that into your present moment, as soon as it passes through the present moment, it becomes evidence. And so that's where the choice then becomes an I am statement. So enjoying is a tense of being, right? You are enjoying present moment. So I would be today enjoying being that predominant creative force in my life, when it was 2 years ago, so it was a choice. And so having done the work and going through the 5-step method, recoding any resistance to that choice kind of out of the way, you can learn to become connected to this super conscious side of yourself so that your thoughts, desires, choices become more and more reality in your current experience.
Interesting. And that's one way of putting it. This is such a good conversation. I don't think my title or is as broad and as lovely as yours, but I think it means well, probably because it's representative of me, of course. The title and or chapter for where I see my life right now really started when I got my diagnosis, and it's what God laid on my heart is basically to be a warrior for change.
Hmm.
I've undergone a lot of experiences in my life that that can't even like put into one single episode. There have to be a whole entire TV show to describe the magnitude of stuff I've come across in my life, and it's just a real reflection of my character and my heart and my strength, and just the fact that I've overcome a lot and it's shaped me into where I am right now, who I am right now. So being a warrior for a change is probably the best representation as to who I am and what I've gone through and what I'm going to continue to go through throughout the rest of my lifespan. So
Yeah, that's a good place to be. Being a warrior of change, just being consciously aware of what choices you make. And we can always upgrade our choices. We can always change our choices. Just because we make a choice doesn't mean it has to be an eternal choice, right?
right.
It's something you can choose for now and experience that thing, or manifest something, and then you're always free to choose again or choose something different, right? But just knowing that you have the power of choice, that you stand in that power position, it's remembering who you truly are, remembering the power that you really have in your mind. And again, like I said before the show, they don't teach this stuff in school. There's no course for it at college. I will say, if anybody wants to know a little bit more, there are authors like Joe Dispenza or Greg Braden. They got great videos on YouTube also that you can watch. Lynn McTaggart wrote a great book called The Field. And so if anybody's interested in learning more about the quantum physical reality and what goes on there, those would be some great resources for them to check out.
Awesome. So now to my favorite part of this episode, the icebreaker game. Let
Okay.
me get my stuff ready. So this icebreaker game is called Song Association.
Song association. Okay.
Yes, you don't have to be an avid singer to understand this game, just for the record, because I'm not an avid singer, so I wouldn't expect my guests to be an avid singer. But pretty much how the game works is I would give you a word and you can either say it or sing it or rap it. In your case, you can just say it. And based off the word I give you, you could say the song title pertaining to that word, or it can be in the lyrics.
Okay.
It's 3 words, and the catch is you only have 15 seconds.
Okay.
So it's a fun game.
All right.
And
Maybe more fun for you, I guess. I don't know.
well, I feel like it's fun for everyone.
All right.
Maybe a little more fun for me because I'm in control of this particular choice. So let me just find my timer here.
Okay.
And the first word is heart.
Heart is the name of a band I love, and Heart is. I don't know if they have a song with that word in it. I'm thinking of "Crazy on You" is one of their songs. I don't have a song with "Heart" in it. I know the band though.
Well, I'm sure the band is a great band, but you have to come up with a title or in the lyrics. That's the thing. That's the catch. There's a million of songs out there,
I know.
and yet you only have 15 seconds to enter the subconscious of your mind to dig it out.
In music, I know a lot of songs, but I really don't know the titles and I really don't know the artists a lot of times. I just know that I like the songs. So not my forte here. If you want to talk about quantum creation, I can talk about that all day long.
Well, let's see if your mind can understand this next one. The next word is words.
Words. You're really putting me on the spot here. Words. A song title that has words in it. Sorry.
This is
Sorry.
it's fun. It's fun.
I guess I should have showed up more prepared.
Well, I leave this part out because the reaction is a lot more fun.
Maybe I should get my Google up here and I can Google something like that.
Well, you can Google afterwards.
Afterwards. All right.
Afterwards, which I'm pretty sure many of my guests opted to do because there's a millions of songs, but
I
15
understand.
seconds.
I don't know millions of songs.
So the last one, which
Okay.
hopefully won't make your brain explode. The last word is change.
Okay. Hang on here.
You can't Google search the word.
Let's see here.
Did you just Google search
It's not helping me. It's not helping me.
any word at a time? Any
Well,
Google
can you tell me the title to a song with those three words? Change, word, and what was the first one?
heart. My
Heart.
Heart Will Go On by Celine Dion.
Oh, nice. All right, my heart will go on.
More Than Words by the band Extreme, although I have a different version of that particular song, not by the original band. And the last one, I don't know a song pertaining to that word, although I did hear one the other day, so I know it exists.
Oh, so you're asking me something you don't even know for sure exists. I see.
You're actually Google searching right now.
I am. There's not much help coming up. I'm looking for words with or titles of songs with change in the title, and not much coming up.
It could be in the lyrics too.
I know. Well, like I said, this is not my forte, so sorry to disappoint.
You didn't disappoint. This was fun.
All right.
Well, you can Google search as many songs as you like and reach the far quantum mechanics of your brain when it comes to music. But we are at the end of this awesome episode. Before we wrap up, do you have any social links or websites to share with my audience before we wrap up here?
Yeah, the best place to go to learn a little bit more about this and get to know me a little bit better is a place called dreamlifemasters.com. So dreamlifemasters with an S.com, because I think on some level we're all trying to create a quote unquote better reality for ourselves, to create the life that we love. And I've got 3 pretty extensive videos on there that really explain how the 5-step method works, and how someone can learn how to use it to really change the reality, change the destiny in their life, no matter where they are today. Anybody can do this. You don't have to be spiritual. You don't have to be a good meditator. There's nothing that's particular skill that you need to do this. And again, it truly is a revolution in the personal development space. And especially, I think your audience is mostly younger people. As I said to you before the show, I said the sooner people learn how to do this, the better their life is going to be, the happier, the more pleasant, the less pain-filled life they're going to have. When you learn to be super conscious, you just learn how to recode the resistance out of the way from the things that you would love to experience in your life. And so you just get good at turning thoughts into things and have a life of less pain and more satisfaction. So Dream Life Masters is what you want to check out if you're interested in that.
Awesome. Thank you for joining me today, Gunther. This was a wonderful conversation, and I'm pretty sure you enjoyed the game, even though you just Google searched the song.
Sorry, it was a surprise to me. I got tools at my fingertips, and that's what I'm going to use. So thanks, Dion, for having me. Appreciate it. And
No
we'll talk
problem.
again.
Absolutely. To all my listeners, thank you for joining us on this awesome episode. If you would like to subscribe or follow us on these following platforms, please don't hesitate to do so. We are on Facebook at the Words of Heart Podcast. We are on YouTube under the same name, and we're on all typical podcasting platforms such as Apple, Spotify, and Google. Please don't hesitate to share your thoughts and or feedback, follow, share, retweet, rate, comment. However you choose to share your thoughts on this, please do. And don't hesitate to let me know how this podcast or this particular episode has resonated with you. Again, I am your host, Dion Sanchez. Thank you again for joining me, Gunther Mueller. And feel free to keep on dreaming, speak your mind. Know that everything we do in life all comes down to a choice. It just matters as to how you want to use that choice. And until next time. Bye.